for this summer's research course in microbiology and bioinformatics as we explore microbiology in different locations across the country. I'll talk about 10 tips that we need for us to set up a home science lab. And so I am doing this from home, even though for my research I go to the lab and conduct experiments there. But just like you, I also set up a home lab to carry out these experiments right at home. And so what are these tips? We'll go right into them, and I have a document here so I don't miss out on anything. How to set up a science lab safely in your home. So first of all, first thing is ask your parents or your guardians for permission for you to actually have a designated space. Okay, so I know that for our course, our parents or guardians are already involved. They know that we're doing this course, but just let them know to say I would need a designated space to carry out these experiments, because even on the days when we're not having classes, you still have to monitor your experiments, and so it's good for you to have a defined space. Okay, and then so step number 2, clearly define the boundaries of your lab space. Okay, and so it will actually be easy if you have one that would be the set or standard space that you won't have to change around the house. And so when you say boundary, it's just almost the same thing where the space is defined. If you have siblings, they will know to say, okay, that little corner is for the experiment, and then try to keep it that way for the entire course. And then step number 3 is now picking up that space. So you can say, okay, my lab space is going to be maybe in the kitchen area, or it's going to be in the bedroom, in the living room, in the dining, whatever space it is, office space. Once you define decide what space is going to be, then tip number 3 is to then prepare that space. Now that space needs to have some kind of surface. Okay, so it could be a countertop, like a kitchen countertop. It could be just a simple table. I have a very simple table that I got from Amazon, or it could be some kind of bench, or an actual office table. And it doesn't have to be too big, as long as it has enough space where you can put your device that we'll be using for our Zoom classes. So your computer, your desk, a laptop computer, desktop computer, or a tablet or a phone, but where you have it in front of you, and then there's sufficient space for you to do work in front of your device. Because during the Zoom meetings, I will be carrying out the experiments, and so you'll be watching me. So it actually will be easy if you have a computer right in front of you and you're trying to actually work. So try and find a space, a surface that is actually big enough for that. Okay, and then obviously have a chair where you can sit. So I have a chair here, and you will, because we're going to have lectures, short lectures, and then experiments. You can do experiments standing up, but you probably want to also have time where you're sitting, not just standing the whole time. Okay, so that is tip number 3. Tip number 4 is ensure that there's proper ventilation or air circulation in your lab space, and including an exit. And so this is where it's actually advantageous if you choose a space that is by a window. So in our case, having a space by a window has 2 advantages. First of all, the window is going to help to let sunlight in. We're going to be growing plants, and our plants need sunlight for them to grow. So as close to the window as you can, that would be great. And then you can also open the window for circulation or ventilation. Or if not, you can actually also just maybe turn on the kitchen exhaust, or for some kind of inbound fan, or you can actually have a fan circulating. Then tip number 5 is then you have to then plan out your science activities or your hands-on experiments. And so how do we do that? So for our course, we're going to be planning our experiments every week, and so just before the week before the next class, I'm going to send out emails and I'm going to post videos on YouTube. It is like of instructions on what the next activities will be, and so that's going to like prepare you. So for example, we'll say, oh, next week we're going to be collecting soil, and so here are the instructions, and this is what you use to actually carry out these experiments. And so these videos are going to help you and emails are going to help you prepare beforehand. But in the actual class time, we will still do these experiments together. But it's always good to be like prepared, so that you kind of like when you're doing it together, you already have like an idea of what we'll do. But also remember that when we have these Zoom meetings, the Zoom meetings will actually be recorded, and so in case you miss something, you can always go back to the recorded Zoom meetings and carry out a part of an experiment, or you can always go back to the YouTube videos as well for reference. And tip number 6 is gather your lab kit supplies or lab kit material. And so I am sending you kit material, and so you are going to receive your lab kit in via USPS. And so in a separate video, I've actually talked about what is going to be in your kit. And just as the previous tip before, the emails that I will send and the YouTube video that I will upload will explain what kind of materials you will need for a particular week. Okay, so here is how the kit looks like, and we will not use every single thing in here for every single class session, but we only use some of the items. And so just be aware of that. And for most of these items, it's actually much easier if you just keep them in the box and then put them in your lab space. And whenever we are doing our classes, you follow instructions and take out whatever you need for that particular course. And then tip number 7 is that every week, for whatever experiments that we do, you have to take at least 2 pictures using your phone, or if you have a camera, you use a special camera. But just like using your phone, you have to take at least 2 pictures. So it could be more, could be 3, could be 4 pictures of any part of your experiment. For example, in the first week, in the pre-class 1, we are going to be collecting soil from any 2 locations that you decide. So you have to pick up soil from 2 different locations. So you can decide to say, okay, maybe I want to pick up my soil from the first location will be from a park in my school. The second one will be my backyard. Or you can say my first location is going to be at a farm near the entrance, and the other one will be at the farm near the exit. Or my first location is going to be by the street side or in the parking lot. So whatever you do, take pictures. So you can take a picture of like you maybe digging and getting soil, or getting soil putting it in a pot, or you can just take a picture of your actual materials, like you're outside or maybe a particular location. So it's up to you, whatever you decide, as long as you take pictures to show the part of your experiment. And then you have to upload this in a Google slide, which I will share with you in an email. Is you have to also record every single thing that you do as you are carrying out your experiments. In the lab, when you're working in a typical traditional lab, we always have lab notebooks where we actually record every single thing. But for us, we're going to have an electronic or online lab notebook. And so I'm going to share a link to that, but each of you is going to have one specific one, and it's going to be divided into weeks. And that's where you have to record whatever you did. You can say, oh, I went and collected soil from my front yard, and this is how I collected. This is what happened, and so you record that. But yeah, as scientists, keeping a record of everything that we do is very important for us to go back and analyze, and for other scientists to kind of like come and check our work and to continue, because science is a continuous process. And so we have to do that as tip number 8. And then tip number 9 is that you have to keep clean and cleanup and safety in mind. So it's very important for us to be safe even as we carry out our experiments. Even though for us the experiments that we're doing, they're not like dangerous per se, because everything we're working with is things that are naturally found around us. You know, we don't have any like toxic chemicals or anything, but you still have to work as if everything around you was hazardous. That way you just like keep safe. Okay. And then tip number 10 is that make sure that carrying out experiments, make sure you have fun. This is like a very great exploration process, but try and make sure you don't like play around or like mix your regular materials in the house, like food and water, in your lab space. Keep your science space just for science work and nothing else. Okay, so those are the 10 tips, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me, but watch out for the next video which explains what exactly is in the kit. So I am going to demonstrate how I'm going to put these materials in the kit on my simple lab space, but remember that you can always keep most of these inside. When you first receive your kit, you can keep everything in here except for this media, which is in the aluminum foil. Please take this, and you can even like add an extra aluminum foil and keep this refrigerated. When you put it in the refrigerator, it actually helps it kind of like last longer, be like more durable, even though it can still survive at room temperature, because we've had this at room temperature through shipping and everything. But if you keep this in a like regular refrigerator, this will keep it for much longer. We won't need this until like the 3rd week of our course, so we won't have to use this, so you can just keep this in the refrigerator. But for everything else, you can just keep this on your lab bench space. Okay, so that was that for our video. So these 10 tips are also in our course syllabus, and they were sent to you a few weeks ago, so feel free to go back and refer to these. But otherwise, this was it for this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.